Hello and welcome, as today is the third day of February 2018. My name is Derek and everything is within your own risk, own reward. Disclaimer in the more information box. Let's start off with Capricorn, which has most recently in the last few hours decided to jump from this 5,000 low, currently in at 6,500, and the wild coaster ride continues. The amount of time the markets go up compared to going down is usually, almost always, but I'll say the vast majority, quicker to the upside than it is towards the down. Let's shorten this out a little bit further, and we'll use the 15-minute time frame, as it really just got going here. So big buyers coming in with high volume. I have this area circled. I actually got the bottom on this. This is pretty cool. I had my order filled at 5,000 Satoshi at 2 p.m. Eastern hour time frame yesterday. And the reason why I bought there compared to this exact 5,000 was because during the day I had noticed, oh, wait a second here. How come I didn't buy Capricorn at 5,000? I knew I was supposed to, and I didn't have my buy order in. And the market was higher at the time. Like, the ask was like 5,300 or something. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember that when I looked at the order book, there was not too many bids to bring it down to 5,000. It would still be less than a Bitcoin. So I'm thinking, okay, there's a pretty big bid at 4,900 and change. I'll take the 5,000 that once was taken here, and it happened to work. Now, going back to the 1 hour time frame, using the strategy that I talk about, if I were to be a buyer here, which is fine being below the 18 average of lows, I would most certainly be selling up here. I probably even would have started selling at 5,700 maybe. But I am not playing this with the 1 hour time frame. I'm playing this with the daily time frame. And right now, that's on the 18 average of lows only. So it's not a time yet for me to be a seller. If it comes up to this 18 average of highs, close to 8,000, that would be my first sell target. If the price goes up further even more, maybe into these 14, this area here, I have a sell order ready here, but let's just assume we have this day completing with the move up to here. Then I would be probably selling if continued further upside happens. Probably if I'm selling at 8, I'm going to want to go at least at around 12. So I'll wait till markets to move up towards this area in here. Even though my next sell order is up towards here, that's if the market just has a crazy move in like one of those 1 day period, aka moves like this, if anything like that is to take place. So I'll keep an eye on it for situations like that. If I were to say sell here, I would want to buy it back when it's making a lower low, probably at around 4,000 Satoshi. If I sell it there, maybe if I might, because of market conditions, actually I'd probably take lower or matching low. So if I sell at 8,000, I'd probably look to buy at 5 or a hair above it again. Only because of the market conditions that I see. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still further downside action for another week, 10 days, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And because of that, I still want to pick up as many cryptos that may be declining within that time frame. But I picked up a whole bunch just in case these are the bottoms. Let's move on next to Rise. This is something I bought recently and then sold. Normally, if market conditions show this, it's buy order city. Maybe you bought previous low, and then you're going to buy some more. Heck, why not buy some more again here? No. There's been several times in the past, and the past is last year, and probably 3 different days in the past, where maybe 4, where I would get buy orders in some cases executed, and I would read relatively quickly after I noticed my buy order, market is being delisted. Well, this was the case with Rise, and I looked at the market and I'm thinking, I mean, it was in a pretty good trend coming into this. I was pretty surprised that this market got delisted. Now, the last time I was surprised a market got delisted was pretty much the smart cash on Cryptopia. Now, Cryptopia is a much different exchange, and then the thing shot up afterwards. It was like, okay, interesting. But the conditions for this, obviously, people are going to be selling because they got to get rid of it. I'm going to shorten out the time frame here, because what you're going to get a lot of is people reselling over and over like I did myself. And that is, let me just move the drawing tools, go to a, let's do 30 minutes. Actually, we can do shorter than that. Here's a 10-minute time frame. So we see it all started at one time. And then we have some interesting movement. See, one of the things that I've been thinking about over the last 3 days, and this on the side, is the times to short-term trade. I mean, really short-term trade. I'm looking at the 10-minute time frame. We can make this a 5 in these cases, possibly. So what I want to be focusing on, I haven't really seen this the last few days, are how the transitions on the major gains work out for the 100% days, 80% days. But I think more importantly, when you see a market being delisted, I almost think that the way you play a delisting of a market is you let the sellers come in pretty heavy, and then you start to day trade this on a short-term time frame. For if we look at the strategy that I talk about within buying below the 18, selling above the 18, because you know a whole bunch of people are going to be reselling. For example, buy orders get hit in here, even in here, and even places below, but all these buy orders get hit. Then they find out, oh, market's delisted. So I get a buy order at, say, 4,000. Find out about that a half an hour later. Then I say sell it here at 3,700. Oh, am I lucky that I seen it then? I sell to John Joseph or whatever, whoever random person. He or she would later take a look at it and see the same thing, and that person would then sell a little lower, and that would pretty much keep the trickling effect until most people are then in the awareness of it. So at some stage, you want to say to yourself, when do I start buying? Do I start here? Do I start here? Do I start here? Do I wait for price action to have any type of first test above the 18 average in some sort of way? Because, well, quite frankly, with the sell orders available here at this time, if you would have started here, you'd be in for some decent profit so far. Just buying below here, so everything you bought down here, you would sell in here. What you sold here, you could buy back in this spot. And what you bought here, you could sell here. Volatility is starting to shrink a bit. That's to be expected. What you sold here, you have the option to buy here. You have the option to buy now. And you have the option to wait for this thing to go below the 18 average, because you know we're going to be looking at what's going to be a long-term bear market. So maybe if they're selling here, you might want to be like, okay, let's wait to buy down towards here. And that's if you want to try to play a sort of game like this. I want to look more towards this so I can be further aware for future codes that get delisted. Let's take a look at another code on the 10-minute time frame. This is Funfair. We'll just keep on shorting it out. Interesting situation with this not so random code that had this move in here. But let's move it from the 10-minute, maybe go to the hourly time frame, and it was in a downtrend, like a lot of them have been, of course. Decent sized red candles down here, pretty much at the same time when the previous code was going down too. Of course, that was because of a delisting. And so was this, actually. This code got delisted as well on the Bittrex exchange, and it really, you can't notice any reason why it would when you're looking at this. Longer term, it's not that much history on here. It's got some, but it's hanging in there. Had a great rally before here, just making it to pretty much all-time highs. However, you can trade this on Bitfinex, so that market's going to probably still take priority. They definitely would have no intention of removing it there. If they did, this thing would have totally crashed. So there's been a lot of people probably arbitraging within that exchange, and even people who don't and normally would sell off a cold like rise would be like, oh, I can just move this to Bitfinex. So let me just move it there, maybe create an account there, and so on and so forth. Also hit BTC. That's where I ended up trading this back in the day. I actually arbitraged this between Bittrex and hit BTC. I see Cloak is up 25%, and I haven't seen that recently, so I'm going to see it now. I do own it. It's made a move up to the 18 average of lows, sort of like Capricorn. I did buy, I don't know, I could check what price I bought it in, so let me just show you where I did, and take a look at this shorter term. And the answer is 11 o'clock at 97.2, 97,200. So I ended up buying it, where's yesterday at 11? Here. So I would have bought it roughly right around here. Situation where I'm just looking at markets and at this time frame. I mean, this was just down too much, so I just had to buy it. And the way I looked at it, there's a big level of support that it went down, that it had a huge differential. Like, I mean, this is... horizontal rays work the best. This is the big support level. And this is where it was. So the size of the move from point A, which is this line, to point B, which is where it was most certainly a buying situation. And then, of course, now I'm looking at this. This is the exact same as CPC. If I'm playing this within this time frame, then I'm looking to be definitely going to be a seller at this point if I haven't done so recently. But I'm playing this on the more longer term daily time frame. So just like Capricorn, I'm looking for a move to go to the 18 average of highs within today or tomorrow. So anything around 145. If it does so, that's selling 22-ish% of the position, 23%, so 2/9. And then, of course, I would probably look to buy it back at the matching low where I bought before. And then if the market continues to go higher, every so often I'll sell. And then sell orders, well, you got area here around, you can say previous high above 49, but you know what? Sometimes I'm like happy with just 35 because it matches this high. But more importantly, from where the price action is now, it'd be a 3x gain and even a 4x gain from where I bought. So that would be areas that I look for. But if I sell it all there, this is what I think mathematically would happen. You're going to get whatever early sell orders hit, probably just the one, okay? And then you get this one hit at 36. You sell everything you got. That's what I have it set at anyway. You're most likely, if it's a one-day shoot up like this, going to have some time to buy it. You might not be able to buy too much, like say in this case, because if you've sold up here, well, but even still, a lot of times if you just take big peaks and like this, there's always going to be other plays. If you run out of something because you sell it all out of whatever altcoin, and then you end up noticing you just can't get it back, so be it. There's so many other boats to find because you don't want to miss the boat. Well, just imagine you're at like some sort of dock or some sort of area where there's like hundreds of boats coming back and forth. You're going to miss a whole bunch of them, but you're going to get the ones that are great when you have an opportunity to get on one. And an opportunity is having, of course, that Bitcoin that you would normally spend for something that you'd have to go to somewhere else. But the thinking of it is if you do sell all of it and you get these situations, and I want to show a perfect example because almost every code has it, like say this one here, Where say, for example, you were back at this stage, same time, you bought at say 8,600, but you had a huge sell order say underneath this high at say 25. You sold everything there. Well, now, days later, the price action's at 14.13. That's a lot better of a return than selling maybe a third or a quarter of what you got there. So it can work out oftentimes in better situations, I'm thinking, especially because there is so many of these kinds of moves within the crypto space. I'm really going the strategy of one short order, probably like again 22%, and then 78% for a big one. And then in some cases, 22% for one order, then maybe 20% for the next, and a little over half for another big one. Because there might be different situations where there's key areas where you'd want to sell and such. And anyway, let's move on to another one. And this will be Steve, as this was something in which I had bought on the lows right here. I think it would have been, let me just look at this further again. How many days has it been? You know what? No, it was something that I bought. This is a daily time frame. I sold it here. Yeah, I sold it here. I think I bought it down here. And I had a buy order down here. So I missed it on the buyback. And I think what I've done is I've readjusted a buy order to go down a little bit further. So that's the adjustment I've do in situations where you miss an order. But yeah, this little buy order here, the buyback I wanted to do from this sale, I just missed. And you know what? That's going to happen in the game sometimes. And to me, this is a game. And if you're good at games, especially when you play them and you get better at the games, you can develop some high scores. And in this game, your score is how many Bitcoins and Litecoins or whichever cryptos that you are basing your account on, or more importantly, how much your currency is worth in fiat currency value at this stage, how much other tangible assets you can produce with it, or stuff like buying gold and silver with it, being able to do things within the game like paying your mortgage off, or maybe just buying that nice car flat out. Maybe you decided to go on that nice 3-week vacation. And the best part was when you were on vacation, you were still working, aka doing a little bit of trading on the side. Keyword, a little bit. These are the types of things the games can offer you. Really, really fun, because it's interesting. You push a few buttons on the computer, and next thing you know, 2 days, 3 days later, you have a UPS or a Purolator driver coming to your house giving you a box, which, well, has your gold or silver in it. That's how the game is played. Speaking of silver, it got smashed on Friday. Well, based on its volatility. Down to 16.56. Back down to its lows, not seen since right after Christmas. But, you know what? I look at this and think, okay, whatever. I realize that in this market, as I look at it, that just on this time frame, and it gets deeper than this, that this is all neutral right now. It almost got up to the upper end of this neutrality point, and now it's almost getting down to the lower end of this neutrality point. But the neutrality, like I state, gets even deeper than that, as it would be this entire sideways range. Right in the middle of this pretty much right now. And it doesn't matter to me with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Litecoin prices, whether this is at the upper end at 18 bucks or at the lower end at 15, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Nor do I really even make much of a concern if, say, something like this happens. Well, concern, but if something like this happens, oh, yay, we have something that doubles, which is great, or almost doubles, whatever. Yet crypto's 3 times, 4 times, 5 times great gains. So this could go up like this, And if Bitcoin and Litecoin and all the other ones go up as well, the price of silver is going to be cheaper and maybe at all-time lows, even though this would get maybe to 28. Even furthermore, let's just assume that the crypto space just falls, and well, so does silver too. And this goes like this, and then Bitcoin goes to 800 bucks and Litecoin goes to 75 cents. Well, in that situation, it would be silver going up in value. But I look at the market conditions as in, I think there's a really good chance that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are going to do very well over the next year or two time frame. And silver probably, I think, is going to break this pattern and maybe even, at least in the near term, relive some of these better volatile secular bull market runs, which means getting up to 28 is just one key level, and then even moving up here can be the case. But again, in those situations, I would think that the ratio is going to keep getting higher. Maybe not as quite as steep as it did in 2017. When you've seen it go from 150 to well over 1,000, I'm happy I sold some Bitcoin for silver at the 1,000-to-1 ratio. That was fun to do. But it wouldn't surprise me again if in the future that not only would stuff like that happen, but later on when this thing really gets going and you start to see maybe prices up towards like here where it says 13, and you get markets that look like Ethereum's been looking and Litecoin's been looking against the dollar like a free market. Don't be surprised if that is even part of the reason why it goes up to such a number. And then you're going to look at the ratio go from, and I'm just going to pick a whatever number at a big super, oh my goodness, say 2,000-to-1. Oh, down to 1,000-to-1. Oh, 750. Oh, 500-to-1, 300-to-1. Oh, 600-to-1. Oh, 300-to-1, 200-to-1. It's one of the things that I stated last year when the ratio was 150-to-1 on Bitcoin to silver, was that it was going to go much, much, much higher. And it went up faster than I thought it would. Because I was planning on making stellar, larger purchases months from now. Like April, May, or whatever. At a ratio of over 1,000-to-1. I didn't think it would get to over 600 or 700-to-1 this year, but it did. And this year, so meaning 2017, actually. And I stated that I think it would go way high, then back to 150. And I still think that, where it's going to have a time frame, even if Bitcoin succeeds. In fact, if Bitcoin doesn't succeed, it would crush below that. But even with Bitcoin succeeding, it wouldn't surprise me when we see a market like silver just have extreme gains, like, oh my goodness, 3 months go by and it's up 5x. Or maybe 6 days go by and it's 3x. Maybe 3 months goes by and it's 12x gains. 2 years go by, it's 28x gains. I wouldn't be surprised moving forward to see that happen. I would expect that it wouldn't, and I hope too, but the market's going to do what it's going to do, that it wouldn't go explosively high until the early 20s or the start of 2020, 2021. Because that would give me a lot of time to keep on accumulating the precious metal as I trade Bitcoin in the meantime. But I'm fine right now for whatever comes into place. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.